A punk attitude and luxury products didn't go together so well in the past. Nowadays, with brands like Balenciaga, this has clearly changed. However, there was one brand that was very much ahead of its time, and that was Audemars Piguet with its 1993 Royal Oak Offshore. To celebrate its 30-year anniversary, we are incredibly excited to be sitting down with Emmanuel Gueit, who is the original designer, and we will have a look at its rich history and unravel some mysteries. Let's get into it. We're very excited to be in the AP house in Amsterdam today and have Emmanuel Gueit join us. Emmanuel, it's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before we start with the Royal Oak Offshore, because there's so much to talk about those, could you please set the stage and tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get into the watch industry, and specifically, how did you end up at Audemars Piguet?
My father was a watch designer. He was working a long time with Piaget and Patek Philippe, Rolex, Vacheron, many brands. And so I was born into the watch industry, and I watched my father designing all my life, my childhood. So I designed to do that job. I was living 1 year in England to boarding school in England, and just before I left, I met Jacqueline Dimier, who was the head of designs of AP. And I was trying to sell designs to make some money pocket for my trip in England. And she said, your designs are nice, but it's not AP, but would you be interested when you come back to work with me at AP? And I said yes. And I started at the age of 19 with AP in La Vallée du Joux.
Yeah. And then you early on get into the Royal Oak Offshore?
Yeah, 2 years after.
So we have a collection of Royal Oak Offshores here, brought to us by a Dutch collector of Audemars Piguet watches. So very grateful for that. And so we can run through those models later on. But first, perhaps you can tell me a little bit about how the Royal Oak Offshore came about. It was then CEO Stephen Urquhart who asked you to come up with something for younger audience. Is that correct?
That's correct. The sales of the Royal Oak was like going down, and the age of the clients was going up with the age of the watch. So at this point, it was like, okay, maybe we should stop Royal Oak. We should stop producing and find a new watch. And I said, maybe we should find a new Royal Oak who's going to catch the youngest generation. We need to think about the next 50 years. And he was during the lunchtime, the restaurant next door, in between two places, like, okay, you should think about a Royal Oak for a young generation. First, I designed the watch, and I remember that it was the beginning of, it's very macho of myself saying that, but it was the beginning of when women started to wear men's watch.
Yeah.
I was like, watches is the only jewelry of men, so I should think about the watch that only men can wear.
Yeah.
So I took the Royal Oak and I make it bigger.
So it needs to be more masculine.
They're more masculine, something very big and that you can't, women can't wear.
How difficult was the design process? Because you had to alter an iconic watch.
The danger was to damage the Royal Oak, but there is so many things happen on the Royal Oak that we can use and make it different. So the fact to make it bigger, I should have done the watch, the Royal Oak, bigger and as it is, but I think it was too big, so I need to make it more round, make more on the bracelet. And I saw the gaskets, it was a little white thing, so maybe we should make it bigger and put it blue, the same color as the dial.
Yeah. And
then the crown and the pushers, maybe we should put rubber on the, never been done. At this time I was like, maybe we should do something that has never been done in the watch industry.
Were you inspired by other watch brands at the time? Because I remember MBM or Hublot, they were the first to integrate rubber into watches.
Yeah, but they did bracelets.
Only bracelets. Yeah.
And at this time, we were not looking what the others were doing.
It was purely focused on rubber.
Yeah, the design process at this time was not computer. We had no computer.
Yeah.
It was brain.
Yeah.
And we were like sketching, and make designs like that.
So then you came with the design for the first Royal Oak Offshore, basically.
Yeah.
You presented it to Stephen Urquhart, the CEO.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Well, we were in a round table, and there was Steve here and Jacqueline Dimier on the other side. And Jacqueline Dimier is like, oh my God, it's not AP. And Steve looked at the design and like, he said, I like it. He said, I like it. It's obvious big. He was like a little bit shocked, but it's like, I like it. Let's try.
That was before 93,
right? It was in
right?
89. 1989.
So what happened between 89 and 1993?
I work on developing the samples, working with suppliers, find the solution for the rubber on the crown, and we went to see the company Biwi, who were doing the gasket at this time, and they never done that before. So it was like, okay, let's try. We would look for to make as a challenge. We'll try to do that, and then we start to work and make the samples. And every 6 or 8 months, Steve said, "No, it's not AP, so let's stop. He was like, okay, no. He was like,
Getting afraid.
Yeah, it was cold feet, and you can understand at this time, because this time we were selling quartz watches at 36 millimeters. So he was like, oh, probably then we introduced the chrono first.
Yeah.
It was the first chrono for the Royal Oak collection, the all Royal Oak collection. And then, but on the side, I was still continuing to work with the suppliers.
Yeah.
Because I believed it. So and at some point, 3 years after, we were like, there was all the board of directors, and I present the samples. And they was like, oh, it's too big, it's too big. Oh. They were like, it was perfect. Yeah. And I had with me the Rolex Sea Dweller. And I dropped that I bought to a friend of mine, and I dropped it on a table. I was like, look at this watch. It's slightly smaller, but it's good business. So don't be upset about it's like I was very upset, and they were all laughing, and Steve said, okay, let's do it to
so
make
the
you
Rolex
happy.
made it yes.
Yeah, the Rolex made it yes.
Nice.
When you were working with the suppliers for the 3 or 4 years, did this design change during that time because of limitations, or was it really the design?
It was always the same. Yeah. And it was nice to work with Gueit who produced the first bracelet, and to make it round and exactly what I wanted, and good integration with the case. And
so your vision was completely put into reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I design a watch, I can see it in 3Ds. I can see the watch finished. So.
And was it meant to be a chronograph from the start?
Yeah, we didn't do automatic 3 hands.
No.
The offshore never had it, except the diving watch.
It was much later.
much later, but we never do.
Yeah. Was it difficult to source a chronograph? I think there was a Jaeger-based movement.
We had a watch at Audemars Piguet was the Jaeger base with things, and we used the same movement. Apparently, there is a story about Frédéric Piguet movement, but I was not involved. So, but we used the Jaeger Lecoultre.
Yeah.
Maybe we had few in stock, so we decided to put it.
Tell me about the name Offshore, because the first 100 watches do not have Offshore on the case back. Was Offshore the initial name? Came it later?
No, it was still at the beginning. They had two registered names. It was Offshore and Challenger, and Steve didn't know which one to choose. And he decided to choose Offshore because of the thing with boats, and the Royal Oak, it was boats, and then we can do races, and he didn't want Offshore on the name because he was scared to kill Royal Oak. So he said, no, I don't want to put Offshore. But after 100 pieces, he understood that it was necessary to put the Offshore on it.
Yeah. You introduced it in 1993 Basel Fair.
Yeah.
And then there's this story that Gilles Genta came in, and he was not very happy.
No, he came into the booth, and he was like, I was at the bar with Steve, and I don't remember, maybe Jacqueline Demier, and we're talking, and he came into the booth and he was screaming, "You killed my Royal Oak! You killed my Royal Oak!" And he left. I was like, it's the first time I've seen Gilles Genta in my life.
And the last time.
And the last time. But thanks for him, he helped me to create the Offshore.
Yeah.
Were you ever afraid when you were touching the design that you were thinking, oh, this is the design of someone else? I need to be respectful?
No, I was working for Audemars Piguet, so Royal Oak was Audemars Piguet. So I was working for the brand, not for myself or someone else. I was working to make the brand better. And it works, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. The shock in the world watch business was the same as when they launched the Royal Oak.
How were the sales of the Offshore at the start? Was it good? Because I remember that the Royal Oak at first in 72 did not sell that well.
It didn't sell that well as well.
Yeah.
In 93. It started to take off around 97.
So quite a few years to try.
It was in the Italian market, right?
Italian market launched the Royal Oak, and they helped to launch the offshore as well. And I remember right after Basel on 93, I used to do a trip, a worldwide trip, to meet with retailers and agents and clients and I was in Italy with the agent, and we went to Rome, to a supplier in Rome, and the guy said, "Are you crazy with the offshore? It's so big, it's never sell." And the agent was so clever, said, "Listen, the guy who's going to drive a Ferrari with the offshore in the wrist is going to make, the show." And the guy looked at us and was like, you're right. Okay, I order some. Nice. And it started like that. And then they hired Alberto Tomba, the skier, and it take off like that in Italy. Then when Tomba had it on his wrist, it was like, started.
Yeah. So we have a few watches here.
Yeah.
From different series.
Yeah.
Now let me grab the first one. So can you tell us a bit about what makes the offshore so special in this first design?
There is no offshore on the back.
That's true.
But it's still the same. It hasn't changed.
No, because we also have later versions here, to the most recent versions that look, for the eye at least, exactly the same. But some changes happened, right? To the bracelet, to the movement.
They probably, when I left after the company, they make some changes. But this is the one I designed.
Yeah, but we have a second here as well, which is already a little bit different.
Yeah, but we introduced this one very, very fast, actually, because they probably had the weak problem, broken and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the one that had the number 39, I had this one. So it was probably the prototype. In 93, we were still working on the new buckle.
Yeah, because I was at a preview show from, I think it was Philips in 2018.
Yeah.
And I saw your watch.
Yeah.
I had it in my hands.
Yeah.
39.
Yeah.
Why did you sell it in the first place? Because it was so close to you. It was your...
It was my baby. I don't know. I made a mistake. It was like, the auction company was like, it's like the 25th anniversary, you should sell it. And at some point I was like, okay, maybe I need to turn a page with AP. I need to, and I regret it. So I bought it back. Oh, another one, but
you bought, it's the exact same.
It's exactly
reference.
the same, yeah. The D series and 1996, so.
Yeah.
And the one who bought your original one, he put it now on a titanium bracelet or something, right?
I met the guy actually recently, and he came. I was in Geneva. He came to me. I said, "You say Emmanuel Gueit?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, the one who bought your watch." I was like very emotional. I was, "Oh my god!" And I say, "Why did you do that?" He's like, "Because it's too heavy for me, and I don't want to break the bracelet.
Okay.
I want to keep the original bracelet. I want to keep that." So I said, "Okay."
Yeah. I get it, because I have the titanium version, but full titanium.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's surprisingly light on the wrist. Like you see the watch and you would expect it to be heavy, but it's actually...
He's a tiny little man and very... So he was scared to break the bracelet and to lose it.
Okay.
So it's why he put the titanium.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite material for the Royal Oak Offshore? Is it steel, titanium, gold?
No, steel. I don't like the titanium. They asked me to do the titanium, but I think it's too light. The offshore must be heavy. And it looks cheap. Yeah. But no, steel is my favorite.
Okay, so I'm wearing the cheap version of it.
You also worked on other projects, still offshore.
Yeah.
But you worked on this end-of-day watch.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, in 98, the Arnold Schwarzenegger was approached AP and he said, "I want to have a watch for my next movie called End of Days, and I want the watch black with yellow numbers. That's it." So we say, for the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger, there is only offshore, the offshore can do it. So we decided to do that.
So he said like a black watch?
With yellow number.
And that's it?
That's it.
Yeah.
That was his request.
Okay. And you didn't argue about it, just like, hey,
let's go for it. I never met the guy, but it's François who met him. But before François, he was another board member who met him in Los Angeles. And he said, "I want a black watch with yellow numbers."
Yeah.
And here we have the one, also a very early one.
Yeah.
D series on the leather strap. And the difference between this early D series and the other one is you can't exchange the bracelet or the strap.
Yes, it's better for business.
That's the only reason.
Yes, it's my point of view.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a strap watch, you buy this one. But if you want a bracelet, you buy a new watch. You don't buy a new bracelet.
Yeah. And today, do you still live by that rule?
Yes. If I want this one, I buy this one.
Today's trend in watches, and you're still involved in designing watches, I guess. Yeah. Today's trend in watches is towards smaller watches again.
Yeah, it's going down and slimmer.
So what do you think that the future holds for the Royal Oak Offshore? Because they are big and clunky and very masculine.
I think you don't touch an icon. It's perfect as it is. And then you can decline, you can work on different models and make it, if you want, slimmer and smaller. But right now the trend is very into jewelry watches.
Yeah.
So it's very trendy. It's very, very, and I think for the next five to 10 years, it's going to be very
Small watches.
small, but jewelry watches.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. It depends where you are, because in the US, it's still big watches.
Mm-hmm.
They're still wearing like 45 millimeters, 43 millimeters. So there's nice, in the US, there's a nice future for big watches ahead.
Yeah.
But here in Europe, we're going smaller and more discreet and more.
And what's your personal preference today?
Usually I wear always this one, but I think it's a little bit too big for me right now. So I've got the 5402 that I wear all the time.
Yeah.
It's more classic, more.
The jumbo.
The jumbo is more discreet. But I'm always happy to wear this one.
Nice.
But in my mind, I wear small watches. I inherited Nautilus from my father, and it's a 37 millimeters.
Yeah.
And I love to wear it.
Yeah.
It's very small, but I love to wear it.
Okay. So, Emmanuel, now is also the time perhaps to debunk some rumors. And apparently there's a rumor out there that in the late 90s, 97, there was a display in Basel with Royal Oak Offshores with colored straps, and that these were only for display purposes. Is that true? Or?
Yeah, actually it was true. I was in charge of the windows for Basel show. We're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Royal Oak, and the windows were very boring. They was off-white, and so I say we need to have one window very, very colorful, very like fireworks, and so I decided to took all the offshore on strap, the chrono, the ladies one, and the perpetual calendar, and make it the rainbow. Actually, my father created the rainbow watches in 1976 for Rolex and Delano. So the color is in the family. So I decided to do the rainbow and have the dials matching the bracelet.
Yeah.
And we presented like that. But the problem is it was so successful. People started to order. We were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we had to, because I went to visit the suppliers, suppliers, and they had like just little piece of
samples,
and it's like, okay, let's do one bracelet like that, one bracelet like that, and then we had to do the series.
So you had to make them.
We had to make them, so I had to find new letters. It was like very successful, and it was the beginning of the color in the luxury watches. Yeah. Really, it opened the doors to offshore and to the entire industry actually.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about colors, we have another watch here. If I get the first Royal Oak Offshore, the D series, and the one from this year, 2023, the black ceramic.
Yeah.
I know you're very much in favor of the original one, the D series.
Yeah.
That this is the original design. This is how it should be.
Yeah.
Don't tamper with it. But now they did this. I think it's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful too. But it's the offshore.
Yes.
I loved when I launched the gold, the full gold. It was like 400 grams, 450 grams. People say, "You're crazy," and they sell it. But it's metal. So the ceramic is fantastic. It's really beautiful.
Is it something you could have designed today?
I did actually.
Oh,
I did actually, and I showed the design. It was when I returned from the US and I started to be a freelance. I worked 3 years with AP as a freelance, and I made the design of this watch.
Nice.
And actually, they say no, it's not AP. No, so they didn't do it. So I'm glad, 20 years later, a clever guy said maybe we should do it in black.
They changed their mind.
But I did the design. I still have the design.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Because it was at the beginning of the success of Chanel.
Yeah.
And I saw something very strong coming with the ceramic, the black ceramic. And I was like, this is the next stainless steel of the 21st century. Yeah. And so I designed the offshore in ceramic.
Nice.
But I'm happy they did. And I can't wait to see the one in brown, in brown ceramic.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
This was 30 years of Royal Oak Offshore history. Let's see what the next 30 years will bring. Emmanuel, it was such a pleasure to have you with us. Sit down.
It was my pleasure too.
Thank you so much. And tune in for the next video. We hope you enjoyed this conversation that we had together with Emmanuel Gueit. And let's stay tuned what Audemars Piguet has for us in store in the future. See you in the next one.